kind of educational infrastructure in place that is able to, one, inform the children on what this means and how access is going to happen. Right now, if you were talking to a group of children, they don't understand what it means. They don't know whether it's okay to smoke marijuana or not smoke marijuana. They're hearing the buzz that it's going to be legal. It's not going to be a crime any longer. So what they don't know exactly what that means, and so now, and neither do nobody really knows. All we really know is that it's going to generate money for somebody. We don't know where the money's going to go, and so there's a lot of different pieces that we don't understand. But what we are for are any brothers and sisters who have been incarcerated as a result of marijuana for the release, for them to be released.
So do you think this money, the revenue, should be spent in a certain way?
In the community, for educational programs, for social programs that some non-existent. I mean, there's a whole kind of restructuring of the community in such a way they're taking down low-income housing, building condos, and a lot of displaced residents are a result of that. So this could be put in place to really empower some of the most vulnerable residents that are being displaced now.
Do you see any signals that this is what the local authorities are going to do?
None. I mean, no talk of those kind of systems being in place. That how this is going to help the most vulnerable communities. And now we talk about drug addiction. The low-income communities are the most vulnerable when looking at drug addiction. So that's where the focus should be, probably focus groups, education, some kind of understanding. When talking about legalizing it, should go through the grassroots communities, which really is not really thought of. So nobody's come into the most vulnerable communities to discuss what this means, and even the idea that this may happen. They're completely overlooked.
And if it happens while it's completely overlooked, would you still be for the issue of legalization, or you might change your mind on it?
I probably would change my mind. I mean, and it's hard because it's two pieces. One piece are the brothers and sisters who've been incarcerated. Then the other piece is like what this actually means, like ingesting this drug for younger people and even those who are addicted. I mean, it's going to be managed, and just like any other drug, and now it's an issue now with young people smoking marijuana. I mean, it's so bad within the juvenile justice system that it's not even a violation when they come up with marijuana in their system, because it's almost expected that they will. So they're violated. They look at the level of marijuana that they've ingested. So it's right now it is an addictive. It's like it's an addictive drug.
So you think what you're saying is it's spread throughout the community, the marijuana at this moment now?
See, it's normalized. I mean, it's normalized within the communities, and it's although it's not legal now, people operate almost as if it is. And it's marijuana in our communities. We have focus groups with children who say it's not one day they go to school where they don't smell the marijuana smoke. And that's with it not being legal. So, and our concern is it being legalized. What's it going to mean? Are people going to be blowing marijuana in the streets? And what does that mean for the children already? Like, so, that's definitely a concern to me, because it's not helping the children. Like the children who are self-medicating and they're ingesting it, they'll tell you, like, look, we smoke. I feel better when I smoke than when I don't. I'm stressed out most of the time. That's why I do it. But it's not helping them with achievement. They're not high achievers because they're doing it. They're more lethargic, more likely to not participate in studying and achieving, and more likely to fail.
It kind of changes the debate, because when we think about marijuana and the issue of legalizing marijuana, we think of it as recreational drug. something that certain people use it as a luxury
Mm-hmm.
to have good time. The way we have some kind of social drinking, you know,
Right.
we drink
right.
to enjoy, not to, not too much, but it's like maybe with group friends, you just like have a joint and that's it. You enjoy it. It's school. You don't feel like you're involved in any kind of criminal activity.
Mm-hmm.
But what you're describing is totally different.
Mm-hmm.
Am I getting you right? Is what you're saying is within certain communities and mainly African American communities, and we're talking about this region,
Mm-hmm.
right? Talking about the DMV.
Mm-hmm.
What you're saying is it's more than just a recreational drug.
Oh yes, definitely.
Can you elaborate on that point?
Yeah. Well, once, and especially if you look at conditions like collective depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, you have areas that trauma is normal, and it's happened so consistently that children expect it. And the high level of violence, high level of drug addiction. Police come through readily, and they're locking people up when they come through, and they're used to that. So the drug actually is a way for them to cope with reality. It makes their reality better. It's not even, they're just doing it for fun. It's like, look, I need this for homeostasis, just to be stable. So, at that point it's not, like I said, it's not about getting high, it's about removing lows.
So you think we're, apart from that, the way they approach now by focusing on the revenue and focusing on mainly the issue of criminalizing certain, like entire generations of communities, but at the same time we're rushing toward legalization without considering all implications.
Exactly.
What are you doing about that? Because you have like initiative, you have an organization, you work with young people. What are you doing about that?
Well, with both Higher Hopes and Ward 7 Save the Drug Free Communities Coalition, we actually gather. We have focus groups with young people. We come through. We do art projects and to help them understand themselves, the best parts of themselves, and maybe they won't have to ingest drugs to cope. They can find different ways to actually cope with the trauma that they've experienced in their lives.
One last question: if marijuana becomes legal in the DMV, and this discussion doesn't take place, and it stays on the margins and doesn't become part of the mainstream discussion about how to go about this, the way we deal with liquor, for example.
Mm-hmm.
You have certain legal framework to sell liquor, who to sell it for, and how to deal with it. What kind of implication do you think it will have on the African American community?
Mm-hmm. There'll be a huge black market for marijuana, and there'll probably be wars for who's going to be the ones that actually able to sell. There'll be frequent drug use on the streets, so there's probably more access to children, and almost like it's more access to children drinking, because if parents are drinking, children have more access to alcohol, and if it's normalized to that level, there'll be higher access to children, and more children will be ingested and smoking marijuana.
Thank you very much. Interesting. I never thought about these issues, and when we talked about this with, let me tell you who we spoke to. I raised all these hard questions. Talked about the possibility of black market, but they think it's not going to happen because you cannot compete with the prices when it's legal. I mean, even if it's going to be taxed, there's not going to be that many avenues where you can get like marijuana by bypassing the state or the authorities. So you're going to end up by it from, I mean, what's the likelihood of being able to smuggle more marijuana? Because like big cartels won't see the benefit. If it's legalized, people will be able to grow their own, weed and so forth. So for them, the likelihood of the black market to happen is kind of. But were you saying otherwise?
Well, yeah, because it's the people that are selling it now. They're gonna have to do something, and almost like probably when liquor just became legal, the people that were moonshining, that initial piece, something has to happen, and until they go to selling different drugs. I mean, there'll be people that, I guess when they legalize it initially, that even with the youth, maybe there'd be the youth market and selling the youth, because youth will be able to buy it in the stores, and so I just don't know what those groups. There's so many people right now that are living off of it. What are they going to do immediately? I'm not, I'm not sure. Do they switch to another drug? Or really, is it another strength maybe, or another something else that goes along with that that is an offering? But something has to be offered to the people that really it's unfortunate that crime is the number one employer, and the group of people that are living off of it have to have some kind of alternative.
Well, yeah, these are important questions.
Yeah. And you would think that the community that even with these, when the thought of this is coming about, that they will go into and have focus groups in the community to really flush out what's this going to mean to the communities. But they didn't gamble the same way. They didn't go to the communities as for gambling. They took the vote, but it's like they want the money. So when the money's on their mind, it's like that's the number one thing. Like what's going to help you so much is we have jobs and with this money we're going to have an education, but they want the gambling money.
Yeah. So
gambling's okay now. Like at one point, gambling wasn't. People get locked up for gambling, but now gambling's okay because the state's doing it.
So we spoke to Malik Burnett. He's with the DC Drug Policy Alliance.
Yeah.
So they have their own campaign on the issue. It didn't seem that they saw like the positives more than negatives of legalization. I mean, if it's already there, so making it legal, at least you get one bad impact out of the equation, which is the incarceration of young African American males.
Yeah, and I think that is the positive. And I think for mainstream smokers, within they kind of they are mainstream. They have jobs. They just smoke marijuana. Like it's fine for them. It's perfect. They don't have to go through going to the hood basically to find a bag of weed. They can actually go to the store, and just like they go to the liquor store, they can buy their weed and their liquor and go home, and it's okay for them.
Well, I have a theory about that. About the impact of I don't know. It's going to sound political, right? But
good for you.
Before you had certain people, because of their need, had to have like African American friends. Now they don't need it anymore.
Yeah, they want to come to the hood at all.
It's gonna be total separation again. See?
Yeah.
So that's why.
Yeah.
They're gonna be totally independent.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but well, the question of drugs in general, even like for cocaine or whatever, is it an issue of like criminal activity, or when it comes to addiction, it's like any other kind of sickness, and how do you deal with it? Do you put people in jail, or do you provide them with ways to heal, and probably kind of address the issues that lead certain people to be addicted? I understand for some people, like cocaine, usually it is the drug of people who are affluent because they can afford it. It's not like crack or whatever, or meth or whatever. But still, other people fall into it because of certain, social or economic hardship.
I mean, cocaine is a good example. I mean, it's almost like it was a way to identify the alpha males in kind of the inner city communities, and because it was always a fear of rebellion. Since the civil rights movement, like the next group of leaders. So when cocaine came to the communities, it's like, and there was kind of no police presence. It was allowed almost. So the hierarchy formed. A lot of money was made, and kind of the strongest males would have been. You can identify them now because they're the ones actually that are making the most money, and you can see it. And then all of a sudden they became illegal, and they swept like all the males really off the street and locked them up for big time for cocaine offenses. And some of them are just getting out today. They done 25, 30 years for drug offenses. And some kind of way, all of a sudden, it was like in one moment, the communities were saturated with kilos and kilos of cocaine. It's like, where they coming from? And police was being watched initially. Watched for about 3 or 4 years, and there was a bunch of millionaires, and you saw these Bentleys and Benzes and these low-income communities, and a bunch of jewelry and parties and stuff. It changed, and then then it was illegal. They had Operation Clean Sweep and other things. And they came through and they locked everybody up. And they could identify them because, just look. You look around and you can see who it was. So it's like all the strongest males really went to jail for the most part. So, and that's another theory, but I was like, really you can see the impact of it. It's like, really who's left after this? And if you think about it from a kind of civil rights standpoint, when they looked at the Black Panthers and different organizations that were, counter structure, counter institution, it was a way to identify those who might be the next ones to rise up.
Yeah, but when you talk about the Black Panthers, it wasn't about who's the strongest, because it wasn't about, and the drug war, being strong is not about being smart or educated, but willing to be stronger in the things that you might do to have access or be stronger than the other, so willing to kill. I don't think the Black Panther with their ideology and political agenda were approaching social issues from that point of view.
No, but if you think that
because the word you used is to identify the strongest males. Strongest males are not. I mean, would you label Martin Luther King or Malcolm X as strong males or have strong personalities, but their qualities were not about being strong?
Well, alpha males, like, so strong in the sense that if you.
I mean, if you're strong in that sense, you wouldn't get into the drug business,
well,
knowing you're going to destroy your community.
If you're socialized that way, like you could be a leader, and
leader of
right.
Do you think any community leader would inject all that kind of suffering?
Not a community leader, but you're just as a child. Say you're 4 or 5 years old, you're just strong. You're like, not only are you smart academically, you put 5-year-olds on the football field, and one of them nobody can tackle. He's just faster and stronger, and you can identify these characteristics. Like some youth are just stronger. It's kind of like, we just call them alpha males. Or alpha females. So they're going to lead something. So then it's the socialization process. What are they exposed to? And unfortunately, along with the whole cocaine piece, it was made popular. The mainstream media made it cool to be a drug dealer. It was almost the epitome of the black male. Like they show it on TV, they show it. You hear it in the music. If you were selling drugs and you had money, then you were cool. And that was the whole piece that went along with it. It's like, wow, it's destructive, but it happened. So now you have young males that they may not, like you coming up and it's being put at you that selling drugs is cool, and you don't hear about Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and these different these leaders. Whereas the Panthers, it was cool to be Malcolm X.
Yeah.
They talk about it that was cool. Like they would debate on the street about what Malcolm said. So this didn't exist. Now it's what Snoop Dogg said, or what I mean. They have mainstream.
He's not Snoop Dogg anymore.
Snoop Lion. Snoop Lion. But that's what it becomes, and it's so destructive. And that's what we're fighting against. It says we redefine it cool, because right now, being cool, like we have these characters that are being presented as the epitome of the black male, the epitome of the black woman.
And do you think marijuana has the same potential? Because I don't think it's as dangerous as
No,
cocaine.
no, no.
But you're seeing it. You're seeing the negative potential because people are resorting to it because
Yeah.
they try to avoid their daily problems, right?
Oh yeah,
Instead of focusing on education
yeah.
to climb the social ladder,
Exactly.
they don't see like any way out of their condition
Exactly.
other than using marijuana.
Right.
And now that's going to be illegal. It's going to solve a major
Yeah.
problem for them,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
But at the same time, we're not having the real debate about, okay, so if we're going to legalize it, apart from the criminalization part of it, how can we make the best out of this new revenue
Mm-hmm.
and to deal with real issues? But since this community is underrepresented, politically speaking, you're probably seeing that this benefit will not actually.
Right. It never really trickles down. That was the Ronald Reagan trickle down economic, because it never seemed to work. It never seems to trickle down to where they say it is. So no, like it doesn't seem to make it to the residents and the community that needs it the most.
Great. Were you rolling?
Yeah,
on that?
of
Oh,
course.
cool. Okay, cool.
If he missed it, we got it.
No. Have a different quality. You can't compete with us.
I bet you.
We're the real thing.
You got a bigger camera.
You're just
It's a
pretending.
real thing for the small packages now.
You're just pretending that. We're doing the real stuff. So yeah, let's do some B-roll. We're just gonna first get some shots of you guys just doing whatever you're doing in this space.
Okay.
And then we'll do a couple of things together. Is that cool?
Okay.